Well, hey folks, it's your old pal King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Hit like and subscribe. As you can see in front of you on the screen, I got the big old map of North America from the Savage Worlds Rifts box set out in front of me. I had put a little poll up on Twitter just to gauge any of the Rift fans that follow me on Twitter. That's at Party Skills, by the way, to see, like which of the two storylines that carry forward from the year 109 PA that they would rather follow and play through. Whether they would rather do the Minion War from the mainstream Palladium version of the game, or if they'd rather follow the Tomorrow Legion from Savage Worlds. Now, only one person voted, and I don't know, I guess that's kind of typical of Twitter. And so, because none of the rest of you decided to participate, I'm going to judge you all by that one vote and assume that if you're watching Rifts, that you're on the page that you think that the Tomorrow Legion is the way to go. And I'm here to tell you that you are wrong. Beyond just the repetitive redundancy of taking this kind of storyline forward from what they just had happened in the North American setting with Tolkien, by setting it up so that they're going to be fighting the Federation of Magic and all that kind of stuff. I have trouble thinking that after everything that Lord Coke just had gone through with watching this organization of Cyber Knights he had put together almost split themselves apart over the events in Tolkien, that less than a year later his idea is to do it all over again. But now we're going to put the headquarters for your little Tomorrow Legion setup here right in the middle of the worst hotspot at all. I know the idea is some sort of modern progressive kind of conceit of we're going to put ourselves right in the middle, and we're going to tell everyone, we're going to give everyone cans of Pepsi just like Caitlyn Jenner, and everyone's going to find peace and that's not going to happen. What the Tomorrow Legion is going to do is get themselves killed and probably drag a lot of heat down on Kingsdale. They're positioning themselves as belligerents right in the middle of a zone that the CS needs to safely transit goods. The logic either way, whether or not you're using the Minion War or the Tomorrow Legion, is that after the Siege of Tolkien, the Coalition's manufacturing base in Chi-Town and Ironheart is pretty burned out, and so they're going to be relying a lot on Lone Star, and so they're going to need to secure regular transit so they can get munitions, weapons, vehicles, and dog boys and stuff up into the central states and to the front lines of whatever burgeoning conflicts happening with the Federation of Magic. They have control of the Mississippi River. Wykin being a military partner, if not an outright ally. That's the whole thing could screw up that deal. They might be forced to have to absorb Wykin so they can secure the Mississippi lines, and Kingsdale has not been an active threat. They're definitely not something that the Coalition approves of, but they're a nice little contained little area with some low-level magic users and some DBs. But having Castle Refuge right there on the edges of Kingsdale, it's kind of going to get Kingsdale blamed for stuff. It's going to be hard for outsiders to not think that this magic castle run by dwarves has nothing at all to do with the people of Kingsdale. So you're dooming them. And also, on the greater picture, with the Minion War, the Coalition is going to be burning out most of its military-age population. It's going to completely run all of its military assets thin, which is going to make it become increasingly dependent on foreign powers for aid and assistance who do not necessarily agree with their particular, human supremacy outlook on life. And it actually saves North America. It gives all the other civilizations actually a little bit of breathing room, because with the Coalition taking on the demon armies from the various hell pits around North America, they're not going to be focused on continuing their campaign of terror against all the smaller magic communities. You take the Minion War out of the equation, not only is it kind of just inevitable then that they're going to come and smash the Federation of Magic and take all these guys out. Castle Refuge is kind of dooming Kingsdale. Because they've, trying to claim this big chunk of Oklahoma and Kansas and part of Nebraska. Well, guess what? Now the Colorado baronies are exactly in the same situation that Tolkien was, that led to Tolkien being inevitably invaded and destroyed. And so you're setting up the Colorado baronies to be wiped out too. It is actually better for the setting if you want an ultimate outcome of life getting better in Rift's Earth, and the fascist society like losing its military dominance, and also like having events that will force the population to realize that, oh, like we've been fed a bunch of lies because we've been kept illiterate and only having emojis and YouTube videos of the future to learn stuff on, because they're going to be actively exposed to other cultures and types of creatures and DBs, and mass cultural contamination, so to say, to borrow some terms from a different branch of science fiction. But the Minion Wars is actually way better for the setting. It's way better for the setting if you're concerned for civilization improving in the long term in North America and Rifts. The Tomorrow Legion version, where you don't have the Minion Wars sucking up all the Coalition's attention, it's just going to be a continuing fall of dominoes as the Coalition expands and expands and expands and takes out all these nice little magic kingdoms that are hanging right up on their borders. Even Laszlo is eventually going to be a problem, because as it's always been, it's on the flight path right in between Chi-Town and the other techno states. The fact that Free Quebec broke off kind of maybe saves Laszlo a little bit for now, but only because that their whole reputation is they're scholars and academics, and that they're not like an active military force, and they do not behave in a belligerent, rebellious manner, is what allows them to have like evaded the hammer. Like the Coalition War could have easily just have been, like fight Quebec and Laszlo at the same time and ignore Tolkien. It's only because Laszlo took a hard line, we're staying the fuck out of it. Do they still get to stand while all of Minnesota is now bright orange and Tolkien is gone? And just like, see, this kind of same logic applies here. Kingsdale, Castle Refuge, they're right in the flight path here. But unlike Laszlo, Castle Refuge has a stance that's going to be, read differently. They're going to be seen as a potential threat, and in the effort to wipe them out, that's also going to fucking cause trouble for Kingsdale, and this whole little green unclaimed patch is going to be filled in dark brown, all because of the Tomorrow Legion and Lord Coke's inexplicably bad idea to try to create some, like, Cyber Knight 2.0 organization. I know, especially for the long-term Rifts players who didn't like the Siege on Tolkien books, I know you think that this is what you want, that this is somehow better than the Minion War, and you're fucking short-sighted and wrong. So take a few minutes and think about it, leave comments, hit like and subscribe, all that kind of good shit, and we'll talk to you when we talk to you.